Hello and good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Paul Tranny here, diving into today's Daily Creative Challenge in Photoshop Summer Reading Program version, where we're learning about books, we're telling stories, and honestly, we're learning Photoshop. So today's is really fun. I'm really excited about this, all about bending pixels, making people and text turn invisible, making it look like glass or liquid, which will be a lot of fun. So it's a lot of fun distortion is what we'll be doing. So I'm super excited about this. Yeah, good day to you, Steve. Guess what? I don't have a sippy cup, man. I'm sorry, I don't. I just have this guy. Yeah, I'm going old school. So let's go ahead and share my screen, just so you know. Yeah, let's go ahead and share my screen, if I could. Like so. Here we are. Cool. So we've been through a number of book covers that we've redesigned. We did 1984, Love in a Time of Cholera, which sounds really scary. And today we're going to do The Invisible Man. I almost missed that cover, but this is what we're going to be doing. Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison, basically about this man who starts sort of down south through the slums of New York City. Talks a lot about, not that much about race, but about the black man experience, that black man's experience in the U.S. in like the 1950s. So again, I think it was pretty groundbreaking when it came out. And just so you know, where you actually get that file is right in here, Behance, right here, .NET Challenge /Photoshop. And you guys get the idea. So thanks for joining me. I want to give you guys a shout out to everyone out there. Let me just make sure I can see everybody's chat and get this party started. So much is going on today. Cool. Awesome. So let's dive into this. You can see my screen. Yeah, let's do this. So here's the file right here. I've already downloaded it, right? Because we get it through this window down here. Bending pixels. We only have 2 more challenges. Using liquify and other layer effects. We're going to use filter gallery, displacement map, a number of things. But you grab that getting started file, download it. You guys get the idea. Open it up in Photoshop. Here it is. We have a number of files or images in here that we can work with, right? So that's essentially what we're going to be doing. Awesomely, I think this is going to be really good because we're going to be using tools that you might think you know, but we're using them in a different way, which I think is going to be really fun. Okay, so right up here we have the text as well. So really just use any image that you want in here, right? So we can take this guy and make him invisible. So it's going to be manipulating pixels. So what we could do here, hello Nanjan, awesome, Esanth, Judith, everyone, good to have you here. Right in here, I can take this layer and let's just go ahead and duplicate it. Command J. So now we have that duplicated. This is the photo I'm going to go with. And I actually want to, I actually want to remove the background. So with that layer selected right over here, we've done this before in the properties panel, remove background. Boom, there it is. We've extracted him from the background, okay? But technically for this layer, he's still on the background. Okay, so you can see right there. So what do I want to do? Well, I want to do a select subject because I'm going to make him disappear from this background. We'll go to select subject to select the subject in this case, just like so. Okay, and now we want to make him temporarily disappear, right? What we want to do is we want to use a content-aware fill. But what we're going to, yes, I feel, who said that? Neil says, I feel a content-aware fill coming on. This is the mistake people make when they do content-aware fill, is it actually selects the actual subject. We don't want to go right up to the edge. It'll actually leave a halo. So you want to go to select, modify, and you just want to expand that selection a little bit. Expand it, depends on the resolution of your image. In this case, I'll expand by 15 pixels. Click OK. We've expanded it out. So now we know for a fact we've captured all those pixels. And then we can do edit, go down to fill, and change this to content aware. Okay. Yes, exactly, Sig Brown. We did a DC where we bended pixels, we made water. So that's the same idea. It's layers. It's layers of so many things. We will be using that. We're going to be doing lots of things. Click OK. What's going to happen is going to take that image and then he disappears for the most part. Okay. We'll do a deselect. We can take a look at this image, right? Right down here, we kind of have some issues, right? So that's when we jump in and we could try the spot healing brush tool. What I typically use is this content aware tool, which is the patch tool. I'll select that patch tool. I'll go down here, I'll just select like this chunk especially, right? This chunk right here, just select it, just like that, and then move it to the area that you want to sample from, just like that. And that's what I typically do in this case, kind of move that over, kind of shift this around, right? You get the idea. Let's grab that from up there. It's okay if it's not perfect because we're going to have something else covering this up anyways. But that's what I'd use the patch tool for, is kind of grabbing those pixels and then adjusting accordingly, right? So we have selected the source, the destination, and then we moved it to the source. You can also reverse that up here at the top, by the way. There's also content aware, where it's going to be aware of the darkness of that area typically. Ooh, that actually looks a little bit better. Content aware. But again, you can toggle. This is actually a little bit more drastic. If it's set to normal, it does a little bit more blending. Okay, so there we have it. He has disappeared, but he is still there. So we could do a couple of things. I'm so excited about this, guys. I'm just so excited about this. Let's do something really fun. This is going to be awesome. Travis, this will be available later, immediately after I'm done, actually. So let's take this. We're just going to save this file, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a displacement map, all right? It's awesome. So usually we use displacement maps to take text and map it on a shirt. We've all seen that demo. We're going to do the reverse of that. It's going to be really cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this. I'm actually going to do a save as, and I'm going to save this to my desktop as bump. You can call it whatever you want. You just need displacement, bump, whatever, bump map, right? Save like so. Okay, go back to your original, which is already open. And now I want to apply that bump map to, that displacement map to this background. So I'm going to duplicate this background, okay? Now remember, the bump map exists of, let me just show you, just so I have it open. There it is. Here's my bump map. I actually will sometimes turn them gray. It doesn't really matter. But here's my bump map, my bump PSD. Okay, and here's my regular. So I want to apply that to this layer 1. Oftentimes I will convert it to a smart object like that, just to protect it in case I don't like the first pass that I do when I go to displace it. So go down to Filter, Distort, Displace. Okay, so we have that blank background. We will displace this, in this case 50 by 50. We'll just stretch to fit, but that size is exactly the same. Click OK, and then it's going to ask you to locate that PSD. We'll locate the PSD, so here we go. Nothing is here, but go ahead and take the bump, the data, right, all the grays from here, and bump it accordingly. Select Open, and now you could see, oh, magically, we have this invisible person slowly coming to life, right? Pretty cool, right? I'm totally into this. Right, we could go back in, since this is already a smart object, we can go back into the displacement, just double click, change that to 100, try different levels, and just see what happens, right? Here's basically 100, so we start to see more of him coming in, okay? All right, so remember, it's actually distorting everything. It's even distorting the background. It's distorting the whole image, and I really just want it to distort where this guy is. So remember, I made this by extracting the background from this layer. You can always hold the Option key, click, and drag that down to duplicate it. Alt key if you're on a PC. Turn that off, right? So now we have him, the distortion just affecting him. Before it was like distorting everything, now it's just distorting him, and he's halfway invisible. Cool. Right? Mine's like, wait, what? I know, it's cool, right? Isn't it cool? I love it, right? Just distorted him. All based on this bump map. It just takes all these levels of grays. Sometimes, just some quick little tips in here. You might need to blur this a little bit or adjust the contrast. The more variance in lights and darks, the more waves you're gonna have, okay? So that's how that works, right? So I have a lot of hard edges in here. I could have made that look smoother if I would have just blurred that image slightly, okay? But feel free to play with that. That's our first step into making him look invisible. He already kind of does, which is awesome. Let's go to this image now. So this is our man. Here we are. Remember, this is the invisible part. We'll go to this man. What I'll do a lot is I will convert it to a smart object. And anytime you find yourself doing something a lot, turn that into a shortcut. I have it set up for a shortcut already, but now it's a smart object. It's protected, okay? Like somebody mentioned, I forgot already who mentioned it, but we made something liquid water the other day or a couple weeks ago. Maybe you did it in the last challenge, I don't know. But we're gonna do something similar. So we're gonna go down to filter gallery, okay? We're gonna select filter gallery. And what you do in filter gallery is you can go ahead and try any one of these, by the way. Here's colored pencil, right? And people usually go like, I'm never gonna use this stuff. Maybe I'll use film grain, right? But we can go in here, we can see a number of these. The one that I found the most success with is actually chrome. Selecting chrome, and sure enough, it makes him look like chrome. We could adjust the smoothness. So we want him to be pretty smooth. And then we could also adjust the detail in it. I think a little less detail tends to work a little bit better, but that is chrome is what we've added. See off to the side, and let me get rid of these other ones. You can add multiple effects in here. So I can come down here, hit the plus sign, bam. And I don't want to add another chrome. I actually want to go up here. What is there, palette knife? No, there's plastic wrap. I think plastic wrap kind of gives it this like watery sort of distortion look that I'm into. So that's the plastic wrap. Kind of gives it just kind of another layer of depth to it. It's almost too much, to be honest with you. Let's take the detail down. It might be too much. The cool thing is we could always adjust this later. It's a little too much. I don't know if I'm happy with it. Right, and it looks kind of ugly right now, but I'm saying, hey, you know what? I just need to get the highlights out of this layer, this effect that I just did, this filter effect. So I would just go in using a layer blend mode, and I would change this to just something like lighten. Anyone within this segment is what I would use. Okay, so we could change that to lighten. There it is. So we have that, and then we're just adding a little bit more distortion. I'm not crazy about it, but we'll just go with it for now. Let's do a Command J to jump it. So this will be our highlights. Sorry about that. Let's take this one as well. Let's get rid of this filter gallery, and him alone, that set to lighten also works. So again, here's just this guy alone. Now I can go in. Do I use darken? Do I use lighten? Oh, this gets much more interesting, right? I like this, having this more drastic highlight using color dodge, okay? So that's basically what I'm doing. Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully, you're into it. I could always change this, by the way. I'm gonna try this really fast. I'm going to add a mask to this highlights layer. I'm gonna hit B for brush. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna just, oh, that's too much. Anyways, I could always kind of remove the parts that I don't want. If there's too much highlight someplace, I can come in and kind of remove it where I need to, like I'm doing right now. Okay, that's all. So maybe I would do that right here for the eye or something, kind of go in there. It's like, let's have this like eye kind of pop is what I would do. But those are those little details that I encourage you to play with. Boop, invert, there we go. Just, I made his eyes pop. Bam, look at that, intense, right? This is a serious book, by the way. Talks about like Marxism and all sorts of things. It's fascinating. But there we have it. And I have 10 minutes. This is so exciting for me. I never have enough time. Oh yeah, Danny, you like the color dodge? I've been using color dodge more, and I'm just like really into it. So I'm glad you appreciate it as well. So this is moving me over. Let's do something similar. By the way, so let's just, once we have this stuff set up, you could go in and play with it all you want. For instance, for this bottom invisible layer, I would probably manipulate this some more. I would actually go to filter and go over to liquify, okay? So I would launch liquify, the liquify effect, and then I would start to just push things around a little bit more drastically, right? To make sure it follows the curve of his chin, to make sure we get his shoulder. So I'd push that out like that, right? And I'd start to just play with some of these lines. So you just kind of get more of an impression of a person being right there is what I would do. Okay, so use liquify to work on those little details, right? Pulling things down, right? Making sure it follows his arm, right? So we get more of a shape of a person like I'm doing right now. So again, using a little bit of liquify in there seems to be all right. Pull that down, something like that. Click OK. Let me drink some of my coffee that doesn't have a lid on it. Ah, it's delicious. Just messing with Steve. I don't know if Steve's here. But turning all those on, that's what we have. Okay, so a little fun distortion. He looks like he's invisible, but that's kind of what I'm going for. So let's take this, let's do that. Let's do some fun things with text. We can put Invisible Man right down here. First off, as a designer, this is done, by the way. Like, people starting out tend to throw way too much at their designs, and as you mature as a designer, it's like less is more. So honestly, I think the design is done right here. But just to kind of show you what we can do is we could work on playing with making this text look invisible as well. So let's go in here, let's jump this layer, let's just take one word. We're going to take the word invisible, right? And for this word, I'm going to double click and I'm going to give it a layer style, because just like we did with the photo had varying levels of grays. We want our text to have varying levels of grays. So we'll come in here, we'll do a gradient overlay, right? It's just set to, you know, from black to white. We can manipulate this later, right? Because you're not going to really get it perfect the first time. A bevel and emboss is going to look like something like this. But the more grays I have in there, just the cooler we're going to have it look. Okay, click OK. Just like we did with a photo, we're going to convert this to a smart object, right? And now we can go up to filter and go to filter gallery. It saves my last settings, and we can see what that looks like with the plastic wrap and the chrome. So we already have the chrome in there, and then that plastic wrap gives it a little bit more depth. And this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get it kind of this way, and you're going to get it like, it's going to be like not quite there, right? That's why we made it a smart object. That's why we can go in and change that gradient overlay, you know, right in here. I'd say, hey, you know what, let's make this a little even more gray and less white at the top, because that's kind of not the cool part. It's kind of like right in here. This is the sweet spot where a lot of fun stuff happens. Click OK, save it, close it. Oh yeah, it's glorious. It's turning invisible. Just like we did before, we can change this to lighten. We can change it to overlay. It's really up to you. Okay. Ooh, color dodge, huh? How about that? So you don't think invisible is invisible? Yeah, so again, I would go through and spend more work on this. But yeah, Zoro, I appreciate the feedback. Right, invisible, we're creating distortion. The interesting thing about invisible, it's really gonna be affecting the background. So that's what's happening. It's all about affecting the background and not necessarily what you put on top. Okay, so that's when I talked about the diffusion map, or that bump map that I made earlier. I would go through that same process. But really all I'm doing at this point is doing the same thing as I did with the photo. I'm just doing it with text. Let's do double click, tile, bam, bah, bring this down, change this, like that. Right, put that wherever we want. Convert it to a smart object. Filter gallery. Do your thing, click OK. Right, and then there's our second text that needs some work. Right, it's okay. It's all right. I think it was better as white, but you get the idea. A lot of fun things we can do when it comes to making things and bending pixels and making things look somewhat invisible in this case. Now let's do this once more, just because I really like giving myself a lot of work to get done in a very short amount of time, apparently. Right? So let's do that. You ready for this? I'm going to do this really fast. This is done. Let's save it. You could use any photo you want. You could use a photo of yourself. Take that photo of yourself, right? Save that out as a bump map, right? Done. Okay, we can see it saved out. We'll do save as to my desktop. We'll just call it bump 3. There it is. Let's grab an entirely new photo. So grab a different background like I'm doing right now. Let's just grab, sure, this one. Maybe this one? Doesn't matter. We'll just make this really large and say, hey, you know what? Let's make it look like an invisible person is standing right here. And again, sorry you don't have access to these photos, but go ahead and, use any photo that you want, right? You have a photo of a scene. You want to turn that to a smart object. We want to go through the same process that I started with, distort, displace. It's like, hey, there's nothing there. Well, guess what? We're going to go ahead and put this person right here, that photo of you or whatever, and place it on top of that background. The reason I pick this background is the more lines you have in a background photo, the better it's just going to kind of contour around the face. Okay? Yes, Danny, lots of new info. By the way, I just did this for the second time. I could do it one more time if you want to, but already this looks really cool. So we have our photo. Let's put an invisible person there. What do? You grab that invisible photo, or excuse me, that photo of that person. Oh, shoot. I would mess this up. Let's grab that person, the photo of that person. Here they are. Here's the photo of the person. Here's where I want to put that person and make them look invisible. Key thing is, make sure these are the exact same size. They actually are the exact same size. Once that's done, convert this to a smart object, filter, distort, displace. Bam. Locate that file. There it is. Of you, of whoever, and then apply it accordingly. The reason I made this a smart object is I can go into displace and change it later. So, yeah, cool. You guys get it? Pretty cool. Zoop. There it is. Fun work. We could do the same thing with the text, by the way, really fast. I don't really have time, do I? I never do. Why? Why do I do the same thing with text? Give me 1 second. Fill it with black. Taking this text, and let me actually open up a couple of my finals, by the way. There we go, we got that. Now I feel less bad about getting rid of all of this stuff. Boom. Boom. I might not have time for this. Convert back to layers. Yeah, I'm running out of time. But I want to do this so bad. I want these varying levels of grays, right? We're going to see some fun distortion right there. Let's apply it right there. Boom. Save as. Bump 4. Here we are. And we're down to our last 2 minutes. Not quite getting there. There it is. Filter. Distort, displace. Now that's based on the text. Instead of using a person, there we go. It applies it. right? We could see it right there. So less successful job, but done on the fly. And hopefully you guys appreciate that. Show me what you create. Once you've created something cool, whatever, right? Here's this version, right? Let's go ahead and export that out. Quick export as JPEG to your desktop. And I really appreciate everybody submitting their awesome designs. Out here in current challenge, we could see right in here. We've done a ton. We had so much fun with flowers, but that's so me. I love EMXs actually on the book. Nadia did a great job as well, playing with different colors. But just go ahead and grab that one, upload it. And this is all bending pixels. A lot of fun. We will be reviewing the ones that you submit with Magdalene Lopez, who's coming up in 5 minutes. Which is going to be really awesome. So go ahead and get something submitted and we will review it. And I want to thank you and just appreciate you as people. Hopefully everybody's staying safe and you're doing well and you're happy. You're washing your hands and you're getting caffeinated because that's what makes me happy in the morning. Cool. All right, everyone. Well, I will let you go. We have Magdalene Lopez up next. Super exciting. One of my favorite designers. And I'm not just saying that. There he is. I see him on my other screen right now. And I'm super excited to have him here today. So thanks so much for joining me, everybody. We got a full schedule that I'm going to leave you with. Thanks for joining the challenge today. We'll be back in a sec.